I never expected a dance to rewrite my daughter's future. A billionaire's heartbreaking decision. I will never forget the day everything fell apart. The day I watched my daughter step onto that dance floor, her hopes shining as bright as the glittering lights above. The air was electric, humming with energy. Everyone in the room held their breath, waiting for magic. But all it took was a single wrong turn to shatter it all. Lily had been dreaming about this moment for years, practicing every day in the living room. The worn wooden floor creaked beneath her quick feet, each pirouette filled with promise. I remember the way she'd blush, cheeks flushed with joy, as she spun an unstoppable whirlwind of grace and passion. It was all I could do to hold back my tears, watching her evolve from a timid girl into a fierce dancer, but in that moment, as she glided across the polished floor, the reality of our situation lingered heavier than the perfume in the air. I clutched my hand so tightly that my knuckles turned white. I didn't know how I would tell her that things were about to change. The weight of unspoken words hung between us like the stillness before a storm. The rumor was he would be there. The billionaire who could make dreams come true or destroy them in an instant. I could feel the murmur of the audience, their curiosity piqued, whispering secrets that danced like shadows in the corners of my mind. Who was he really? What did he want? The glittering gold of his name brought with it a promise, but also a dread. Then it happened. As the music swelled, a figure slipped into view at the edge of the crowd. Tall and imposing, wearing a tailored suit like armor, his charisma so strong it pulled everyone in. Gasps echoed through the room. Lily's eyes sparkled with excitement and maybe a hint of fear. She was oblivious to the bittersweet reality tightening around my chest that I could see the whispers grow louder, the crowd swelling with curiosity, and that when everything unraveled. As Lily took her final leap, her foot caught against an uneven tile. Time slowed. I could hear her breath hitch, her body twisting in midair. The collective gasp, like a sudden gust of wind, seemed to stop my heart, a symphony of shock. I became a statue, helpless to intervene. She crumpled against the floor, the crack of her heart echoing louder than the music. I rushed to her side, trembling hands grasping her shoulders. Her wide eyes searched mine, confusion and pain mingling in those delicate features. There was something almost eerie in her gaze. Was it fear? Was it defeat? There was no answer. Just silence, broken only by my racing heartbeat, and just then, the billionaire stepped forward, his piercing gaze fixed on her. What did he see? A fallen dancer? A girl who had lost her place? Or something deeper? I could not read his expression, but the way he approached felt like a dance of curiosity, laden with a hidden agenda. My stomach twisted. Was this what he came for? Everything spun around me. The crowd, the music, the society of dreams, all now blurred and twisted. I couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. My daughter's future hung in the balance, suddenly uncertain. Was he there to save her, or was he the storm that would tear us apart? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. In the days that followed, the world continued to spin, but we were caught in a stillness that felt insurmountable. The aftermath of Lily's fall rippled through our lives like a stone dropped into a quiet pond, sending shockwaves of uncertainty and despair. Despite the constant hum of activity around us, our bubble of anxiety enveloped us like a thick fog. Lily's spirit, once so vibrant, dulled as if the colors of her dreams had washed away. The joyous chatter of her friends that once filled our home faded into awkward silences and whispers. Life outside our walls pressed on. Schoolmates gloated over achievements, parents planned for futures yet untouched, and I was left standing still, fighting against the impending tide that threatened to wash Lily away. One afternoon, I entered her room, the familiar scent of her lavender-scented candles filling the air, mingling with the remnants of dance costumes scattered on the floor like lost dreams. She was curled up on her bed, the light streaming and casting a golden aura around her. Her eyes, usually so full of fire, were dull and unfocused. I sat beside her, heart aching for the girl who had been so spirited only days ago. "Twirling should be fun, Mom," she whispered, her voice barely above a whisper. "But now I just feel so embarrassed." Her fingers intertwined with the fabric of the quilt, tugging at the threads as if seeking solace from the tangible world. "Lily, it takes time," I reassured her, my voice trembling as I fought against the tears. "You're not defined by one moment. You are so much more than what, Mom?" Her frustration came crashing down like waves against a rocky shore. "More than a girl who fell." She sat up suddenly, eyes blazing fiercely. "It hurts to do something I love when I know it can shatter in an instant." At that moment, I understood what lay before us was not just a question about her dance, it was a pivotal moment in her story, one that would either inspire her to rise or consume her. With each passing day, I questioned my own choices, haunted by visions of what could have been. I wished desperately for clarity amid the emotional turmoil. How could I help her find her footing again in a world that felt perilous? As the days drifted into weeks, whispers of the billionaire's intentions surged like distant thunder. They filled the air. Would he offer a scholarship? A chance for redemption? Or was he merely seeking to exploit the vulnerability of a fallen star? My heart raced as I pondered what this could mean for Lily. I couldn't shake the fear that his interest could potentially alter our lives entirely, a thought that churned in my stomach like a bitter storm. Then one seemingly ordinary afternoon, as I sorted through bills at the kitchen table, I received a text from an unknown number. My heart quickened as I read the message: "Meet me at the old theater on 5th at 5 p.m. I have something important to discuss." It was signed with just an H. I hesitated, disbelief mingling with caution. Was this the billionaire? But there was also a sense of urgency swimming beneath my skin. What could he want to say? As the clock inched closer to the appointed hour, my thoughts spiraled through a tempest of possibility. I pressed my palms against the cool table, seeking comfort in the wood's stability. I thought of Lily, how the world felt heavier for her, how her dreams hung in the balance. Against my better judgment, I made the decision to go. Whatever awaited me could either rupture the fragile dynamics we'd been managing or somehow bolster our resolve. I arrived at the old theater, the crumbling facade echoing stories of past performances. My heart raced as I stepped inside, dust motes swirling under the faint light filtering through cracked windows. Shadows danced across the stage, stirring a sense of nostalgia that clung to the air, and there he was. The billionaire stood under the spotlight as if illuminated by some unseen force, casting a long shadow that reached out into the darkness that surrounded us. His demeanor was calm, eyes simmering with an inscrutable intensity that sent shivers down my spine. I steadied myself, grappling with the collision of fear and curiosity within me. "Thank you for coming," he began, voice smooth like silk yet laden with weight. "I know the past few days have been difficult, but I believe there's a way to assist Lily that goes beyond what you might think." My breath caught in my throat. I had come to draw boundaries against whatever game he might be playing, but the gravity of his words pulled me in. "What do you mean?" I managed to ask, my voice trembling with a mingling of trepidation and hope. That he took a step closer, his expression deepening. "She has a raw talent, a potential that could redefine her future. I want her to perform, to reclaim that moment she lost. I can offer her a path, a chance to train under the best, to turn this tragedy into triumph. But there's a price." The last word hung in the air as the shadows danced closer, enveloping the truth that lurked beneath his offer. I could feel my heart race as I fought against the ambiguity surrounding his intentions, unsure whether to reach for this potentially life-altering hand or turn away from the risk it posed. In that instant, as the dawn of possibility and insecurity collided, the door swung open behind me, crashing against the wall. I turned, startled, as Lily stepped into the theater, a ghost of her former self, yet undeniably fierce. Her expression was a mask of determination mixed with confusion, standing between us and the future. "Mom," she called, voice strong yet laced with vulnerability. "What is happening?" The moment hung heavy in the air, charged with unspoken emotions and unfathomable choices. I stood there, the weight of a decision pressing down on my shoulders, knowing that the future of both our lives rested in that fragile balance. Would I protect her from this temptation, from this stranger cloaked in opportunity? Or would I let her step into an uncertain light, risking everything? And just like that, in a theater that had once been alive with dreams yet now lay shadowed by doubt, everything shifted again. The silence felt heavy, thick with the weight of unspoken thoughts and emotions as I stood frozen between the proposed future this man offered and the reality that had ensnared us. Lily's presence sent a tremor through my heart. Her eyes, though weary, were sharp as they flitted between me and the billionaire. She sensed the tension, and yet her voice remained steady. "What are you doing here, Mom? Who is he?" The questions spilled from her lips, each one brimming with urgency that I wanted to reach for her, to shield her from the turmoil erupting in my chest. "Lily, this is," I stumbled, feeling the enormity of my choices bearing down on me. "This is Mr. Harrison." I paused, searching for the words that could encapsulate the complexity of the moment. "He wants to help you." "Help me?" Lily echoed, disbelief etched across her features. "After what happened? Does he want me to dance again?" "Yes," Mr. Harrison interjected smoothly, his gaze unyielding. "I believe in your talent, and I believe you can reclaim everything that has been lost. With the right guidance and training, I don't want anything from you." She fired back, a spark igniting in her spirit as frustration pulsed through the air. "I didn't come here to be saved. I'm just trying to understand." "Lily," I urged, trying to step in, trying to weave reassurance into the fray of uncertainty. "This could be a chance for you to grow, to find your footing again. Or a trap, Mom. How can I trust someone who swoops in at my lowest point?" Her voice trembled at the edges, revealing the cracks beneath her brave exterior. Mr. Harrison opened his mouth as if to respond, but I interjected. "What's the price?" My words were sharper than I intended, but the unease mingling with hope couldn't be dismissed. "What do you want in return for this help?" "A simple agreement," he said, his demeanor unflinching. "An investment in her future. I'll cover her training, her expenses, but I would need her to compete in an upcoming showcase. It's a rare opportunity, and I believe she could capture the attention of influential figures in the dance community." Lily looked at me, searching for guidance, but inside, my heart waged war. This was not just about dance, it was about the loss of control, stakes in a game that felt rigged against us. The fear of exploiting her vulnerability weighed heavily against the glimmer of hope he dangled before her. As doubt clouded my thoughts, a memory flitted through my mind, the sound of her laughter, her spirited twirls echoing through the house before the fall had stolen so much from her. Would this truly embolden her? Or would it be a cruel reminder of her pain? "I need time," Lily said suddenly, her voice steadying, though the tremble remained a flicker of resolve amidst the chaos. "I need to think about everything. Time is what you don't have." There was an urgency in Mr. Harrison's voice, a subtle threat cloaked in opportunity. "No. I refuse to be rushed into a decision." Lily stepped forward, an unexpected surge of fierce determination weaving through her words. "This is my life and my choices. I will not let anyone dictate what I should do." The spotlight above flickered, casting a dizzying effect across the room where hopes and dreams now collided in a storm of anxiety. I turned to Mr. Harrison, desperation threading my voice. "Please, give us some space. She needs to process this, not only the offer but everything that has happened." He hesitated, then nodded slightly, stepping back into the shadowed edges of the stage as if respecting the boundaries that remained. "Fine," he conceded, the corners of his mouth twitching. "But I hope you understand that opportunities like this don't last forever. I'll be waiting." As he strode towards the exit, his tall figure faded into darkness, leaving Lily and me standing amid the haunting echoes of our shared decisions. The air hung heavy, laced with uncertainty. "Mom, what if I don't want to return to dancing at all?" she asked, the question spilling from her lips like a fragile confession. "What if this isn't who I am anymore?" I felt the ground shift beneath me. "Lily, you're not defined by anyone else's vision for you. Only you can carve your path from here on out." The vulnerability in her expression felt like a rippling tide, and at that moment, I understood the profound weight of those words. We had just emerged from a storm, and the waters still churned beneath us, each ripple a choice, a possibility. Suddenly, the theater's doors swung open again, instinctively tugging our eyes to the light flooding through. An unexpected figure stepped inside, a familiar one, but one we had never expected to see again. It was Rachel, the dance teacher, her eyes filled with concern and a determination that belied her frail form. "Lily?" she called out, her voice piercing through the moment. "I've come to support you." As if blindsided by a sudden gust of wind, my heart raced. Rachel's presence felt like a harbor amidst the storm, yet there was a new tension as we grappled with the revelations that her arrival had now unleashed. Lily's gaze darted between Rachel and me, each second heavy with significance. The decisions before us multiplied, pulling us into uncharted waters as the future lingered just out of reach. Would we navigate this tempest together, or would we drown in the unrelenting tide of choices yet to be made? Each moment held the promise of hope and despair, uncertainty buried beneath a sea of longing for resolution, and we stood there, suspended in time, knowing that the next wave of consequence was just on the horizon, crashing toward us with unpredictable force. The air thrummed with unresolved tension as Rachel stepped further into the dimly lit theater, her presence stirring memories of the vibrant classes where laughter mingled with sweat and determination. It had felt like a lifetime since Lily had basked in that world, a place where she was celebrated for the brilliant light she would cast with each graceful movement. But now, that excitement felt buried beneath layers of fear and uncertainty. "Rachel," Lily breathed, her voice barely above a whisper, tinged with disbelief. "What are you doing here?" "I heard about what happened. I needed to see you to check on you," Rachel said, her voice steady, though the worry crinkled her brow. "You shouldn't have to face this alone." In that moment, I felt a flicker of gratitude toward Rachel, who had been a guiding light in our lives during brighter days. Yet, the shadows of regret loomed large, a reminder of the frayed connections that had formed since Lily's injury. "I don't know if I can do this anymore," Lily confessed, her resolve wavering as she hugged herself to ward off an inner chill. "Dancing feels like a distant memory, and I don't know if I'm still that person." Rachel's eyes widened, her emotions spilling over. "You are still a dancer, Lily. That passion doesn't vanish just because things changed. You just need to find your way back, at your own pace. There's no rush." "But what if I can't?" Lily's voice trembled, and I could see her fight against the tide of memories threatening to engulf her. "What if I'm not enough for this world anymore?" "Lily," I interjected, wishing to banish her doubts but unable to conjure the right words. "Remember the joy you felt? The power of creating something beautiful? That part of you is still there, even if it feels buried." Rachel stepped closer, her gaze penetrating. "You need to trust yourself. There's no wrong path forward, only different ones. Explore them. Dance can evolve just like you will." The reminder sparked a glimmer of something, but fear still weighed heavily on Lily's shoulders. She turned her head slightly, glancing toward the shadow where Mr. Harrison had disappeared. "What about him? What if he is my ticket to something? What if I miss out on the opportunity of a lifetime?" "Opportunities are everywhere, sweetheart. They come in all shapes and sizes. You shouldn't rush toward one because of fear," Rachel responded softly. "What are you willing to give up in exchange? Your peace? Your happiness?" A long silence stretched between us, heavy with the implications of her words. I saw Lily processing the flood of emotions, still trying to reconcile the darkness that had intertwined with her dreams. It struck me then, the realization that we weren't just battling her fears about dancing. We were confronting the very essence of self-worth, a battle against the ghosts of insecurity that loomed larger with each choice. Suddenly, the lights flickered again, momentarily blinding us as a chorus of voices echoed down the corridor outside, warm and vibrant. Dancers' laughter mingled with enthusiasm, drawing closer future dreams and aspirations. Lily's eyes darted toward the source, lingering in the doorway where silhouettes danced in gleeful abandon. For a fleeting moment, the shadows of her doubt seemed to waver as hope flickered at the edges of that unexpected scene. "Maybe," she said slowly, "maybe I want to try. But on my own terms." Rachel smiled, the warmth radiating from her like a beacon. "Then let us figure it out together. We can devise a plan, take things step by step. You'll be stronger for it. You're here, Rachel." As she hugged Rachel impulsively, a renewed spark flickered in Lily's eyes, as if, amidst all the pain, a new path was beginning to take shape. But then, the momentum shifted again. The sound of hurried footsteps approached, breaking into our moment, and I turned to see Mr. Harrison returning. His expression was unreadable, a steely glaze cloaking something deeper just beneath the surface. "Lily, I've been thinking," he said, each syllable dripping with urgency as he stepped into the half-light. "I can offer you more than just training. I can offer you a way back into the world you belonged to before everything changed. But time is crucial, and this window won't stay open for long." The weight of his words slammed into me like a wave, and the fragile hope that we were nurturing wavered as uncertainty threatened to engulf us again. Would this truly be an opportunity to seize, or a golden cage disguised as freedom? "No," I found myself saying, desperation clawing at my heart. "You're not going to push her into this. Lily deserves to decide when she's ready. This is about her life, not a transaction." He leaned in, a shadow eclipsing the light surrounding us. "And what if she misses out? What if the fear continues to hold her back?" "Better to avoid fear than to leap blind into the abyss," I replied, my voice steadier now as I stood my ground, feeling the stakes rise with every breath. Silence fell, thick and oppressive. All eyes remained on Lily, who stood at a crossroads between desire and fear, hope and despair. An unsettling motion darkened her gaze, flickers of indecision swirling like tempestuous clouds. "I want to think about this," she finally said, but it hung in the air, a mere whisper against the roar of what was at stake. "Time, then," Mr. Harrison conceded, though the hint of frustration still lingered on his lips. "But I assure you, the world is not waiting. When you're ready, know that opportunities like this don't grace us often." As he turned to leave, I felt an ice shard pierce my heart. What if this was the last threat, an invitation that might dissolve into dust? And just as quickly, unexpected resolve surged through me. I would protect my daughter fiercely, even if I didn't know how the dance of life would unfold. As we stood at that threshold of choice, the specter of the unknown shimmered before us. With newfound determination but burdened by uncertainty, one thing loomed on the horizon: what would Lily choose when the consequences became too daunting? What price would she pay to reclaim herself? Exhaling slowly, I knew one thing: life was about to rewrite their story, the pages blank but beckoning, each stroke of destiny waiting unwritten on the stage of our hearts. The weeks that followed felt like a slow unraveling of a tightly knit tapestry, each thread slowly breaking free from the constraints of its previous patterns. Lily immersed herself in research, spending hours poring over old dance videos, her eyes glued to the flickering screens as she traced the elegant lines and heartfelt performances of her past. The ghost of her former self haunted every beat, but she was drawing strength from the rhythm of those memories, yet, one glance in the mirror brought her crashing back to reality. The reflection staring back at her was a muddled mix of determination and despair. No longer did she view herself as the lithe dancer filled with promise and pride, instead, she saw a girl confined behind walls of trepidation. The injury had painted her world in shades of gray, and no amount of imagined pirouettes could change the reflection staring back at her, but even as doubt clung like an unwanted shadow, tiny flickers of hope began to breach her darkened heart. Mrs. Patterson, their neighbor and an elderly woman who used to be a prima ballerina, had taken the initiative to drop by for tea. Amid their conversations, she would often share tales of her own setbacks and victories, reminding Lily that every dancer had faced adversity. On particularly tough days, all it took was the warmth of Mrs. Patterson's voice and the lingering scent of chamomile to rekindle a sense of belonging, a feeling Lily desperately missed. Dancing is not just about the body, Mrs. Patterson would say, her voice rich with memories. It's about the spirit. When your spirit dances, your body will follow. But just as the dawning of hope painted Lily's world in hues of possibility, another challenge loomed on the horizon. Mr. Harrison's urgency continued to echo in her mind, taunting her with opportunities that felt both enticing and terrifying. The pressure to conform to his timeline began to seep into her thoughts, filling her with anxiety. Each time she thought of his offer, the weight of expectation pressed down harder. "Lily, have you decided?" Rachel pushed gently one afternoon as they sat on the steps of the theater, watching the sun dip below the horizon. "You've been putting it off." With the cold edge of uncertainty tightening its grip, Lily fidgeted with the hem of her oversized sweater and glanced away. "I don't know, Rachel. I feel like, what if I say yes and fail? What if the injury still holds me back? It's possible you'll never feel ready, and that's okay. But playing it safe could keep you stuck," Rachel replied, her tone soft yet firm. "It's your life, and no one knows what's best for you except you." Each word hung heavy in the air, ringing with the truth Lily still struggled to absorb. In that fleeting moment, clarity seeped through the cracks in her hesitation. Perhaps Rachel was right, maybe the fear that clung to her like a cloak was the very thing holding her still. That night, seated at the kitchen table, Lily finally worked up the courage to call Mr. Harrison. The phone rang, and her heart raced with every silent beat, bundled so closely together it felt as if they were all one cohesive pulse of dread and hope. Just when she thought she'd be forced to hang up, his voice boomed through, authoritative and eager. "Lily, I was waiting for your call." "Mr. Harrison," she said, her voice a whisper against the cacophony of thoughts swirling in her mind. I want to talk about your offer. I need to know what I'd have to do." "Ah, excellent choice. I knew you had it in you. We can focus on training that respects your limits, that puts you back on stage smoothly," he said enthusiastically, but at the heart of his words lurked an unsettling urgency, the promise of a comeback tainted by undercurrents of pressure. But she hesitated, needing clarity. "What's at stake for me? What happens if I can't keep up?" His response sliced through the air, emphasizing the stakes. "Failure is a possibility, Lily, but you have to remember, greatness takes risks. If you want back in the spotlight, you'll need to trust the process, and yourself. This opportunity may not come again." Chilling fear and flickers of exhilaration warred within her, pushing her to confront the weight of Mr. Harrison's ultimatum. "I'll think about it," she finally said, her voice filled with an assurance she wasn't sure she felt. After the call, uncertainty blanketed her once again, and the air grew heavy with impending decisions. Rachel's unwavering support lit a path through the fog, a thread woven with kindness that reminded Lily she wasn't alone. As they prepared for an upcoming performance by the local dance studio featuring Lily's peers, she found herself dodging the festival of emotions swirling around her, a bittersweet longing for a past she cherished but could not reclaim. Among raucous laughter and shared applause, questions clawed at her insides like beasts unsated. What if she could reclaim her passion, and what if she stood to lose everything in doing so? The night of the performance, the theater buzzed with excitement, the air thick with the crackling energy of live dance. Lily stood at the edge of the audience, transfixed as her friends took the stage. They leaped and pirouetted, their movements effortless echoes of the laughter and joy she once exuded. Familiar faces beamed with approval, but all Lily felt was an insatiable longing clawing at the corners of her heart. Suddenly, she caught sight of Mr. Harrison in the crowd, a familiar sharpness in his stance. He seemed to be watching her, waiting not just for the dancer's performance but for any sign that could indicate her readiness to step back into that world. A swift current of emotion surged through her, igniting a fire long dormant in her heart. She dared to dream of the steps, the freedom, the rhythm resetting her spirit. Yet, the realization loomed, would she dare embrace this new chapter, or would fear write the final decision for her? But just as she contemplated the weighty choices that danced on the edge of her consciousness, her phone buzzed violently in her pocket. She fished it out, her heart thudding in time with the notifications. A simple message blinked on the screen, but it was anything but simple, one that sent her entire world spiraling in an unexpected direction. "I need to talk to you. Please. It's important. I can help you." It was from Mr. Harrison, but there was a catch. The implicit promise wrapped in urgency felt laced with a darker undercurrent. In that instant, Lily's life hung in a delicate balance. What revelation awaited her? As the curtain rose for the next dance, her heart pounded in rhythm to a new beat. The hope for a lifeline came hand in hand with the risks of bringing back ghosts she thought she'd banished. Would this moment become the pivotal turn in her life, or could it unravel the very fabric of her healing journey? The bright stage lights flickered and glimmered, casting an otherworldly glow over the bustling theater as the chatter faded into an anticipatory hush. Lily stood at the edge, feeling as if she were watching from a distance, an intruder in a world once familiar yet now filled with longing and a visceral ache. Her heart raced as she clutched her phone, staring at Mr. Harrison's message like it contained a spell that could summon either salvation or chaos. "Lily?" Rachel's voice broke through her internal storm. "Are you all right?" Lily forced a smile, though her heart felt heavy with the weight of decisions. "Just thinking a lot." The shadows of doubt curled around her, tightening their grip. Rachel studied her for a moment before nodding. "I get it. Just remember, whatever happens after tonight, you've come so far. You're stronger than you think." The reminder flickered like the pinpricks of light surrounding her but did little to brighten the chaos brewing in her heart. As the first performance concluded and the audience erupted into applause, Lily felt a pang of envy that was almost unbearable. With every cheer and ovation, she was reminded of the joy she longed to experience, and yet she felt trapped within her own skin, unable to transcend the limits imposed by her fears. With every performance, her resolve seemed to waver. Mr. Harrison's message loomed on her mind, a haunting echo urging her to act. After the show, would she summon the courage and meet him, or would she retreat into the shadows, making excuses as to why she couldn't face him? As the curtain fell and the theater erupted into a wave of delighted chatter, Lily slipped away from the crowd, seeking solace in the quiet coolness of the backstage area. She let the soft scent of creaky wooden floors and old paint wash over her. This was her world. It belonged to her. Her phone buzzed again, pulling her from her reverie. This time, it was Rachel. "Seriously, you should come back to the dressing room. Everyone is waiting to celebrate." Lily's heart ached with the warmth of friendship, yet the jarring reality of Mr. Harrison's text battled within her. "I'll be right there," she texted back, her stomach twisting in knots. But as she prepared to rejoin the festivities, the unmistakable figure of Mr. Harrison entered her view. He was deep in conversation with another instructor, the intensity of their words palpable even from afar. Her heart accelerated, anxious to learn what business kept him tethered to this space. "Lily," he suddenly called out, his voice slicing through the air like a knife. Her breath caught as she turned, feelings of both dread and excitement crashing against each other like tumultuous waves. "Mr. Harrison," she replied, fighting to keep her tone steady. "We need to talk. Can we step aside for a moment?" He motioned to a quieter corner of the theater. Her mouth suddenly felt dry, fear seeping through the edges of her composure. Sure." As they moved away from the din of laughter and celebration, Lily could hear her own heartbeat pounding in her ears. "What's this about?" She forced herself to ask, trying to appear composed even as her insides rolled over with unease. "Lily, I've noticed how passionate you are about dance, even with the injury. In the coming weeks, we have a few auditions for the spring showcase. I believe you still have it in you to perform, but I need to be upfront. There are risks involved, particularly with your recovery." The words coated her with an immediate chill. "And why do you care, Mr. Harrison? Is this some strategic move to showcase the talent you think I could provide?" The flicker of hurt flashed across his face, but he held his ground. This is about you, Lily. I see potential that you might not yet see in yourself. You're more than your injury, and I believe you need to push yourself again. Take this chance. But also understand the implications if it doesn't go as planned. An uncomfortable silence hung between them. Lily's voice faltered. What if I can't? What if I fail again? His gaze softened, a rare flicker of empathy breaking through the layers of professionalism. Then you will have learned something invaluable about your limits, and you will have the support of those who care about you. It's not the end, just a step back to find a new way forward. But what did he really know about her? She hesitated, unsure if she could trust this moment. Just as she opened her mouth to ask a question that had lingered at the forefront of her thoughts, the undeniable sound of laughter echoed from the dressing room, pulling at her again. Lily, if you want this, he pressed gently, reading the tumult in her expression, you have to make a choice. You're in control here. Before she could respond, Mr. Harrison's serious demeanor cracked slightly, and he added, and I think you owe it to yourself to find out what that means. Just then, her phone buzzed again, pulling her back to reality. She couldn't shake the feeling that it hadn't just been another friend checking in. Gathering her resolve, she glanced down as her heart nearly stopped. It was a phone call from her mother, a voice she hadn't heard in what felt like eons, a reminder of her past that could reshape her present in ways she never expected. Lily, Mr. Harrison's voice tethered her back as she hesitated. The decision is yours, but whatever you decide, you won't be alone. But as she stood there, caught between the momentum of her own dreams and the weight of a past that hinted at an unexpected confrontation, she felt the tears prickling at the edges of her vision. Would she answer the call? Would she embrace what lay ahead or retreat into the comfort of what was? With Mr. Harrison watching closely, the burden of the moment pressed heavily upon her while the phone call continued to ring. In that suspended second, every possibility flickered in her mind, dancing tantalizingly just out of reach. And still, she hesitated, facing a choice that could rewrite her story in ways she could only dare to imagine. The air felt thick with tension. It was almost suffocating. Lily absently stared at her phone, a tempest of emotions swirling within her. The call from her mother could mean chaos, confrontation, or perhaps even a chance for understanding. Or it could tear open wounds that never truly healed. Would she answer and dig into the roots of the discomfort that shadowed her growth? Lily, you seem lost, Mr. Harrison's voice broke through her thoughts, grounding her back to the moment. Are you okay? She nodded, but it felt like a lie. I haven't spoken to my mom in a while. I don't know what she wants. A flicker of concern passed over his face. Family can be complicated, but if there's anything to be gained from that call, perhaps now is the time to face it. Lily swallowed hard, the weight of his words hitting deep. It was comforting and frightening all at once. What if she tries to pull me back into a world I've fought so hard to escape? Sometimes we have to let the past inform who we are, but not define it. You're the one writing your story now, he urged softly. But his eyes also carried an intensity that hinted at something beyond mere encouragement. Uncertainty played like a haunting melody in her mind as the phone rang on, echoing like an unresolved note. With a deep breath, she pressed the green button, then raised it to her ear. Hello. Lily, her mother's voice came through, laced with tension and sweetness. It felt like stepping barefoot onto hot sand. I've been trying to reach you. I noticed, she replied, her own voice barely a whisper. I'm in town for a bit. Can we meet? There are things we need to talk about, her mother continued, a note of urgency creeping in, almost desperate. My life is busy, Mom. I'm rehearsing for the showcase. I don't have time for the same dance you've always done. Her mother interjected, the edge in her voice sharp enough to sting. When will you stop letting it control you? Lily's heart raced, there was longing masked in bitterness with every word exchanged. You wouldn't understand. You left me. Another pause hung heavy in the air. I did what I thought was best for both of us. But I want to try to understand. Please, let me explain. Lily winced, the rawness of old wounds tugging at her. Here was the impetus of years of pain, and she could either let it drown her or swim toward clarity. What can you possibly say that will change the past? Mr. Harrison's presence felt like a shield as she stood at the crossroads of an emotional storm, his steady gaze on her urging her to take the leap. Because it's not just about the past, her mother said softly, breaking through the static fuzz of tension. I have something for you, something important. But I can't give it to you over the phone. I need to see you. A wave of uncertainty threatened to engulf her. Really, Mom? After all this time, you're telling me you want to see me? What could it possibly be? I can't explain everything over the phone, Lily. Just meet me. Please. The sincerity in her mother's voice was disarming. It opened a door she had firmly locked shut, an invitation to walk into their shared history, dangerous yet enticing. Could this be a chance at healing? Or was it a trap that would further entangle her in resentment? The laughter from the dressing room seeped through the cracks of her focus, reminding her of almost forgotten laughter and joy of Rachel and the support system that had taken years to build. But the thought of revisiting her past gnawed at her nonetheless, each memory a bittersweet serenade of what was and what could have been. She exhaled slowly, feeling Mr. Harrison's eyes stay fixated on her with quiet support. I'll think about it, she finally said. But just know that this doesn't mean anything has changed. Every step forward matters, her mother said, tenderness edging into her voice. Lily hung up, her heart hammering in her chest. Staring at the phone, reality crashed like a wave, leaving her breathless. What did she want? Mr. Harrison asked gently, his proximity like an anchor in tumultuous waters. She wants to meet. The word sat at the tip of her tongue, a confession mixed with apprehension. Do you want to meet her? His question hung between them as a challenge and an understanding. I don't know. Maybe. Whatever you choose, it's in your hands. Just know that it's okay to be scared. You're strong enough to face both your dreams and your past. His steady gaze ignited a flicker of warmth inside her, igniting embers of resolve she had thought extinguished. Thank you, Mr. Harrison. It means a lot, she murmured. He smiled, genuine and kind, but beneath it, she could sense the weight of his own emotions, perhaps uncertainties hidden behind the facade of his confidence. Yet before she could inquire, Rachel burst through the door, her energy electrifying the air around them. Lily. There you are. Everyone's waiting to start the celebration. Her excitement felt infectious, yet stifled something deeper within Lily. Just a minute. I'll be right there, she replied more briskly than intended, stealing a glance at Mr. Harrison, whose expression had shifted back to that of professionalism. As Rachel swept in, her vivacity washed over them both, yet as she hugged Lily close, a shudder of uncertainty raced through her veins. Are you okay? You look like you've seen a ghost, Rachel teased, but Lily knew her friend well enough to see the concern behind the playful demeanor. Just caught up in some stuff, she said, managing a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. Come on, we're celebrating your first real step toward the showcase. It's going to be glorious. And just like that, Lily felt the weight of her reality shift, as if she were standing at the edge of a precipice, the winds swirling around her. She had to make her choice soon, and whatever she chose would ripple through the chapters of her life, binding or breaking her in ways she hadn't yet understood. Even in the glow of celebration beckoning her back, the weight of her mother's call, the meaning behind Mr. Harrison's words, and the desire for freedom were tangled like the vines of a forgotten garden, lush yet overgrown, chaotic yet waiting for a careful hand to bring a semblance of order. But as she followed Rachel into the dressing room, laughter cascading like water flowing toward the valleys, Lily felt the chill of uncertainty creeping back in. She couldn't shake the feeling that an unexpected revelation was looming, ready to erupt at any moment, perhaps rooted in the invitation from her mother, perhaps buried deep in her own heart. And for the first time in a long while, she felt both a surge of hope and an impending dread. The dance of her life was far from over, and the next step could lead her anywhere. Lily was enveloped in a kaleidoscope of light and laughter as she stepped into the dressing room, the buzz of excitement temporarily pushing her worries down like the ripples in a pond disturbed by a sudden gust of wind. Rachel's vibrant energy was infectious, wrapping around her like a warm blanket on a cold night. But beneath the surface of the celebrations, Lily felt the world fracturing into two stark realities, one filled with joy and anticipation for the showcase, and the other shadowed by her mother's unexpected reach. The atmosphere sparkled as her friends began to gather. The air was thick with the sweet scent of cupcakes and the warm glow of fairy lights draped around the room, making the space feel enchanted. But despite the luminous setting, an undercurrent of tension throbbed quietly in her chest. "All right, everyone. Gather around." The director's voice resonated above the jubilant chatter, commanding attention and bringing her friends together. "Tonight, we celebrate not just hard work, but the friendships that have grown amidst the rehearsals and late nights." Lily felt the swell of gratitude in her heart, drawn from the camaraderie that had formed over countless hours. As the laughter bubbled up and accolades flew, she caught sight of Mr. Harrison observing from a distance, his demeanor a blend of pride and contemplation. There was something behind his steadfast gaze, it hinted at an untold story, an unseen struggle, just like her own. "Hey, you okay?" Rachel's voice cut through her reverie, pulling her back to the moment. "You've been quiet lately." Lily forced a smile, the weight in her chest momentarily eased by Rachel's concern. "Yeah, I guess I've just been distracted, you know." Rachel narrowed her eyes, unyielding. "Come on, you can talk to me. I mean it. If it's about that call, you shouldn't just keep it bottled up." It took everything in Lily to maintain her composure. "It's just complicated. My mom wants to meet, and I don't know if I'm ready." Saying it aloud felt like peeling back a fragile layer she had been shielding herself from. Rachel wrapped an arm around her. "You're not alone in this, you know. Whatever you choose, I'll support you. You've got your dance family behind you." A warmth radiated from that thought. Still, as the celebration unfolded, the heavy weight of her mother's expectations hung over her like a gathering storm cloud. She couldn't shake the uneasiness, the familiar dread that traced its way along her spine, whispering that she was standing on the precipice of something monumental. For better or worse, the festivities surged around her, filled with promises and laughter. She went through the motions, clinking glasses and cheering with her friends, yet it felt like she was observing an outsider looking in. The thrill of anticipation for the showcase clashed with the suffocating anxiety about her past. Her mind raced as she tried to piece together the intricate layers of her emotions, like a dancer navigating an intricate choreography, always striving to find rhythm, yet the melody felt distorted. Just as the call to the stage rang out, her phone buzzed in her pocket, sending a jolt of alarm through her. She excused herself, the weight of the moment amplifying as she stepped into a quiet corner of the dressing room. With trembling fingers, she pulled out her phone, her breath hitching at the name flashing on the screen. Her mother. "Mom." She answered, her voice echoing the uncertainty that clouded her heart. "Lily, I know this is sudden, but I'm here and I really need to talk to you. I'm waiting at the cafe down the street. Can you come? I promise I won't take too much of your time." A wave of emotions flooded over her. "Why now? After everything, can't you just tell me what's so important over the phone?" "I wish I could. But you need to hear it from me, in person. There are things that change how you see our past, how you view me," she said, the urgency palpable. "What could possibly change anything between us after all this time?" Lily replied, frustration inching through her words. "Just please. Give me this chance," her mother pleaded. "For once, can we just talk without judgment?" The vulnerability in her mother's voice dismantled some of Lily's defenses. She hesitated, thoughts colliding chaotically. Could this be an opportunity for healing, or merely another wound reopened? "I don't know if I can," Lily said, her voice cracking under the weight of her emotions. "I'm not sure I'm ready to revisit the past." "Then just think of it as a step forward," her mother offered gently. "A step away from the hurt and towards something new." After a long pause thick with unspoken words, Lily closed her eyes, trying to silence the chaos in her mind. The laughter and clinking of glasses faded as she focused on the steady rhythm of her own heartbeat. "Okay. I'll come," she finally said, the words tasting bittersweet on her tongue. "Thank you, Lily. I'll be waiting," her mother replied, relief evident in her voice. As Lily hung up, dread surged anew, twisting her stomach into knots. She was stepping into a fire, knowing full well it could both burn and cleanse her. Taking a deep breath, she returned to the stage, the laughter and music wrapping around her once more. Yet inside, her heart felt like it was tangled in vines, some choking, some vibrant and alive. The dichotomy of her feelings pulsed as she prepared to perform, and for a fleeting moment, she found solace in the dance, the one thing that had embraced her when everything else felt disjointed. But as she took her position, the crowd's applause ringing in her ears, a shadow flitted past the entrance, catching her eye. A figure lingered just outside, someone she never expected to see again, someone who was entirely out of place and yet anchored deep within her past. Her breath caught as her heart raced, an unexpected twist looming in the shadows. Could the night that was supposed to celebrate her emerging from the darkness spiral into another storm? Lily felt both exhilarated and terrified, caught in the storm of revelations that was just beginning to unfold. As the music soaked into her skin and the lights twinkled like stars above, Lily fought to focus, but her heart hammered in erratic rhythms, distracted by the silhouette she couldn't quite shake. It was as though the world around her faded into an oblivion of color and sound as she stole another glance at the mysterious figure lingering at the door. Her dance partner, Jenna, turned and caught Lily's gaze. "Hey, you okay? You look like you've seen a ghost." "Just a friend from back home," Lily muttered, attempting to play it down. But trepidation coiled tightly in her stomach. "Let's nail this," Jenna said, her enthusiasm bubbling over. "Forget about everything else. Just dance." The opening notes ushered her into the rhythm, every muscle awakening and responding to the electricity in the air. Yet, even as she twirled and leaped with the intensity of the moment, her eyes flickered back toward the door. The figure was now inching closer, the soft lines of a familiar face becoming discernible through the glowing haze of the lights. Once the performance ended, exhilaration mingled with confusion as applause washed over them, but all Lily could focus on was the inevitable confrontation awaiting her. She stepped off stage, heart racing, and wanted to slip back into the euphoria of the festivities, but that shadow from the past intertwined with her present weighed heavily on her. "Lily." A voice warm yet commanding broke through the festive chatter like a portal to another era. As she turned, her breath hitched. There stood Ben, her childhood friend, the one who had once been her closest ally in the dance that was life. His presence felt like a time capsule, whisking her back to laughter-filled days on playgrounds, late-night talks, and the bittersweet end of an unspoken promise. But now, in the dim light of the dressing room, he looked painfully out of place yet undeniably magnetic, his gaze reflecting a swirl of emotions: regret, nostalgia, and something deeper. "Ben. What are you doing here?" The question escaped her, tinged with unexpected warmth. "I heard about the showcase," he said, stepping closer, the tension between them crackling. "I had to see you see this." He gestured at the decorations, the laughter, the joy of it all, but his eyes lingered on her. Suddenly, all those years apart flooded to the surface. "I thought you moved away for good," she replied, half shocked, half desperate to fill the silence that stretched between them. He nodded, his expression somber. "I did, but something called me back. I wanted to make sure you were all right." A thousand memories danced around them, and for a second, the chaotic shadows she faced felt lighter with a trace of familiarity. A smile cracked her lips, but the thought of her mother's impending revelation clawed at her heart, reminding her of the deep divide that had formed between her current life and the one she had left behind. "I don't know if I am all right," she finally admitted, avoiding his gaze. "Things are heavy right now with family." He nodded, understanding weaving through their unspoken bond. "You've always been stronger than anything life threw at you." His words carved their way into her heart, providing a flicker of reassurance. Just as Lily began to feel the comfort of reconnecting, a cold realization pierced through the warmth. Why are you really here, Ben? If you came to check on me, what has changed? Is it about your family too? His expression darkened briefly, and a shadow of complexity danced in his eyes. Mine's been tough as well. I'm dealing with a few things. But you have every right to stand up for yourself, to find your own path. Before she could respond, a ripple of laughter drew their attention back to the crowd, and the celebration continued unabated. The excitement swirled around them like the glittering confetti tossed in the air, yet beneath it all, uncertainty settled like a fog. She could feel her mom's impending visit, that promised reconciliation, nipping at her heels, looming, and inexplicably tying her to Ben once more. Look, I can't stay long. You know how it is with my parents, he said, anticipation lacing his words. But I need you to remember something. You have a choice, know that it's yours to make, and whatever happens, don't hesitate to reach out. As he stepped away, leaving a quiet echo in his wake, the fleeting connection felt bittersweet like a bookmark in a story that both were desperate to continue, yet unable to grasp completely. Just then, the air shifted around her, and she felt the weight of countless choices ahead. Her phone buzzed again, and she glanced down another message from her mother. Lily, I'm looking forward to seeing you. I hope you're ready. This conversation is going to change everything. The finality in her words made Lily's heart plummet. Every thought of hope that had bubbled with Ben's visit scurried back under the surface, leaving her with more questions than answers. Could she truly face her mother and untangle the past she had fought so desperately to escape? And was the sense of belonging she felt with Ben merely a fleeting memory or the spark of something new amid the ruins of her past? With a deep breath anchoring her resolve, she prepared herself for the storm she sensed closing in. Her heart raced as she made one final scan of the room, half hoping Ben might miraculously return, bathed in the soft glow of memories, before she ventured into the inevitable confrontation that would test her very core. The night carried the weight of secrets yet unspoken, and she braced herself for the tempest that awaited her. As the final applause faded and the stage lights dimmed, I found myself lost in a whirlwind of emotions, caught in the crossfire of past and present, the delicate dance of my memories and the impending reality of my mother's visit. I roamed the edges of the dressing room, feeling the warmth of celebration wrap around me like syrup while a cold wind of uncertainty blew through my heart. Each congratulatory pat on the back felt like a reminder of what was at stake, drawing my attention away from the laughter echoing through the walls and pulling me inward toward the deeper part of my soul. Suddenly, the door swung open, and my heart plummeted as I was met with the familiar outline of my mother. For a moment, time stood still, everything around us fading into a pale blur. She stood there with uncertainty etched across her features, her eyes scanning the room as if searching for a familiar refuge in a sea of strangeness. Lily, she breathed, her voice shaky but filled with a resolve I hadn't heard in years. The walls of our history echoed back at me, tainted with unspoken words and unresolved feelings. I'm so proud of you. My breath hitched, familiar wounds surged forth, spilling into the air between us. And what exactly are you proud of? I replied, the words falling out before I could filter the hurt laced within them. Her brows creased, the sincerity in her eyes cutting through the layers of resentment built over time. All of it. Your strength, your growth, your dance. I've missed so much. For a fleeting moment, I saw a glimmer of the mother I had once adored, the one who filled our home with love, laughter, and warmth before she disappeared like smoke into the night. But that image flickered quickly, replaced by the darker shades of abandonment sharpening my gaze. You missed 5 years of my life, Mom, I whispered, bitterness creeping into the corners of my voice like an unwelcome vine. What changed? She took a deep breath, the air heavy between us, urgent and raw. So much has changed for me too. I know I walked away, and that haunts me every day. But today, I need you to hear something important. The ache in my chest was tumultuous. I had waited years for this moment but grappled with the fear it might only open old wounds, or worse, deepen the wounds I carried. If you want me to hear you, then say it, I pressed, unsure if I was prepared for the truths we both had avoided for so long. That my mother stepped forward, her voice trembling. "I have something for you, something I kept hidden even when my own world felt like it was collapsing. It's a letter I wrote to you when I thought about what leaving might mean for the two of us." With a sudden rush of emotions, I felt the world around me sharpen into perspective. A letter? After all this time? My heart ached as she pulled out an envelope, the worn edges speaking of stories untold. "I want you to have it. It contains my truths, my regrets, and a glimpse of how much I wanted you to understand my decision." Everything inside me clamored against the walls I had built over years to shield myself from the pain of loss and abandonment. I wanted to reach out and tear apart the envelope, to finally unveil the words, the rounded edges of uncertainty that had haunted me. But fear clung to my hands, an indecipherable weight that rooted me to that spot. "I can't just. You don't have to forgive me right away, but I hope you'll be willing to try to understand." Her voice faltered, a shard of vulnerability cracking through her veneer of resolve, and it momentarily broke through my defenses. With trembling hands, I accepted the letter, our fingers brushing briefly like the faintest brush of acknowledgement. I held it close to my heart, feeling the contours of a world never fully shared between us. "And what if I decide to tear it up?" I ventured, testing the waters of bravery. My mother's eyes glistened with tears, the kind that reflected years of regret and longing. "Then do. But I want you to know that I'm here now, ready to listen." As the weight of that moment lingered in the air, the echoes of laughter around us poured in, a reminder of the life I had built without her, the friends who had raced to fill the void, the joyous dances that led me to reclaim myself even in her absence. In that instant, I felt the dance between us, one that entangled loss and redemption, burdens and desires, opening the door to a new beginning that lay just beyond. When I finally spoke, my voice was thick with emotion. "I need time. Giving you a chance doesn't mean forgiveness is easy." I felt the swell of turbulent waters leading to something new, something vital. My mother nodded, processing the weight of my words. "Take all the time you need. I will be here, hoping to learn how to be with you again." Just then, a burst of laughter pulled my attention back to the dressing room, a wave of love and support that washed over me, a tide eager for connection. There stood Rachel, pulling everyone in closer together to celebrate, while the sound of festive music filled the space with promise. And so, I stepped toward my friends, holding that letter, my mother, and a heart awash with raw, messy hope, ready to embrace whatever narrative awaited on that blank page. As I turned back to my mother, feeling a warmth that had been absent for far too long, I could see her smile shimmer with longing, a promise that perhaps this time, our dance wouldn't have to end before it truly began. "Together?" I whispered, the words stretching between us, an invitation to bridge the chasm of our past. She nodded, a profound understanding blooming between us, wrapped in the threads of unyielding hope. "Together." And with each passing second, I felt the old pain shift like a tide, finally ready to greet the horizon of our shared story anew. The world stretched before us like an unwritten dance, a promise of growing and learning amidst the steps of life, joining us on a path toward healing, connection, and love. I smiled as I turned back to my friends, the music swirling around us with newfound light, ready for whatever awaited. I cherished the sound of our laughter filling the space, the warmth of connection igniting my heart, and the exhilarating possibility that we could rewrite our story together. With a deep breath, I said softly to myself, "Sometimes, the most beautiful dance begins with a single step." And in that moment of clarity, I knew that we would dance this life, together.